Hey guys, welcome back. We're here at the Power Overwhelming number 4 LAN, hosted here at Local Battles LAN Center here in Fort Lee, New Jersey. I'm here with Eric the Red. I am your caster, Wendy. And we'll be going to game number 2 between OpTiKNemesis and Team Rutgers CSL team member Cookies. Terran versus Protoss. Shakira's map Plateau is going to be the map pick. This is Cookies' map pick, so...
Yeah. This is his favorite map from what he's told me before.
It's a good map for Terran in many ways, and we discussed it earlier in the cast that... it just allows for a lot of versatile Terran openings. 1-1-1's effective because it's a pretty small map. Even in cross positions, tanks can get quite abusive on this map as well in a number of different ways, whether you're sieging on the low ground and going to natural or dropping tanks on the plateaus in the middle of the map. We are ready to go. You
have to wonder if Cookies is going to, maybe pull out one of those 1-1-1s. I don't think we've seen a lot except for that first round.
We only really saw him play. This is his 4th game we've been watching him play.
That's true, yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. I think it would not necessarily be a bad thing. He's well known for his Banshee control among all of the Rutgers guys. So it'll be quite interesting to see if he does decide to go for a 1-1-1.
All right, so we do have OpTiKNemesis spawning here on the 7 o'clock position on Shakira's Plateau. He'll be spawning in the blue color. He did win the last game with... that engagement up the ramp was kind of interesting there. Are you trying to do the little GSL thing where they zoom in, or do you just keep on clicking the mouse?
I'm just really bad with this mouse.
Yeah, it was messing me up too. And of course, I have Cookies spawning right corner in the scarlet red color of Rutgers. I think 1-1-1 actually a pretty good choice on this map, but not an all-in version. A Banshee Expand, I think, would be...
Banshee Expand is really good, actually.
I think would be his best choice.
But these spawns aren't going to be the best for it, but it's still going to be good.
Yeah, there's plenty of dead space for the Banshees to hang out in. Banshee's never going to be great in direct engagement. They're very, very squishy to a certain extent, and they're not very high DPS, or they don't have a lot of AoE.
They've got a decent DPS, and it'll take out Stalkers, and it'll take out Colossus even.
In a big engagement, though, they're useful.
You need a lot of stuff to buffer.
Yeah, you need you have to have the Banshee against probes and
if you have the SCVs there as well repairing, it could be hard to deal with. Yeah.
So Cookie's gonna go ahead and get his barracks down out of his ramp. Nothing unusual there.
Yeah, just denying. It's a nice touch. You're gonna keep OpTiKNemesis in the dark. We'll see. OpTiKNemesis actually gonna do it looks like that's a gateway scout.
Yeah, gateway scout. That's pretty standard on this map of this size.
I think he might get denied now. Not gonna try to deny that scout.
Yeah, I would always try to deny it. You could always. You have the money for the supply depot regardless
you
enough.
You can start it always.
You can always start it and halt the production on it, and either send the SCV out to scout or go ahead and.
Well, since he scouted the wrong direction first, he may actually still not get in.
Yeah, and that's kind of scary, and that's going to be really, really scary. But Cookie's actually.
Oh no! That's interesting. Not choosing to do that. I don't know why he wouldn't. Did he build this depot somewhere else? No.
No, he just hasn't gotten it yet. That's kind of interesting. Well, there goes the denial of the scout for.
Well, the Marine still will be out, but he is going to see no gas again. So I think he's going to be feeling a little comfortable. Yeah, just going for that 1-gate expand again.
I mean, StarCraft 2 is a game of information, even more so than Brood War, because of the way that scouting works. They'll not go watchtowers at scouting that much more important because yes, you have the ability to see when your opponent's coming, and like I said, is your opponent. So you have to realize that the vision, because it's shared by both players, is equally important. Brood War, you didn't have watchtowers to grant you vision over a large area. You had units, and that was it. So it became map presence becomes equally important in that sense. Brood War was kind of you spread units here and there.
What Cookie's actually going to be super annoying, and
totally worth it.
Skipped his first zealot this time, so he's not going to even have a way to deal with this early on. So it's going to delay his expo quite a bit. You always wonder, is this going to trigger some kind of all-in from OpTiKNemesis?
Well, the thing about Protoss is because they work so much in a wave scenario, even with the way they tech. They tech in. They just kind of burst out with either production or units. You never see gateways like where Terran adds on, barracks 2, barracks 3, barracks 4. Gateways usually go down gateways 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all at the same time.
Yeah, but look, OpTiKNemesis is actually adding a second gas, which makes me think that he's going to be maybe one basing for a little longer. Keeping the probe down here, though, so Cookies will think that he wants to expand.
I wonder if he's going to possibly even go for maybe a double expand.
I don't think he would take a second gas for that. You would not be able to afford it with, but
Well, for sentries, I would think you maybe.
No, you still would only have one because you can't afford two.
How much you want to bet right now that he's going to take a second Nexus? Okay, no.
He might actually take the hidden one up here now that you mention it, but
I saw that pro move. I don't know if you saw that.
Why would you need sentries to defend? I mean, maybe this map because of the
well, if you look in the center, yep. Hey.
I mean, it's definitely hidden.
I know what I'm doing when I say that he's going to be taking a double expand. I think it's a smart play.
It is a hidden Nexus, too. I mean, if it were just you can actually just take the third at a standard spot and just defend it with, like, 6 or 7 or 8 gateways and just lots of zealots and charge. But going for sentries, he's going to try to make Benny just think he's on one base here. And basically, if Benny never sees this base, the better. That's going to be good for Nemesis.
Yeah. So Cookie's starting to scan there. Does see that the Nexus is about halfway complete there for Nemesis. And this is kind of like what Parting does. He goes into that 1 gate fast expand and then just double expands off of it, which is...
I mean, the difference is, though, that's not really a hidden expo when that happens. Yeah. Usually that's like... It's going to be just
like,
a
hey,
standard
third.
And then there's going to be some kind of a pressure, so that's really what restricts the turn from scouting is the pressure. And then there's going to be a really big defensive period where you're defending with charge and maybe 8 or 9 gateways even. Lots of just zealots. And Templar eventually. And
the nice thing about Chikris Plateau is that base isn't exactly vulnerable. Drops aren't going to be coming out for another minute and a half, which is plenty of time to get a forge.
They won't really go by there most likely. The only chance of seeing that is if he... I mean, some good turns will always just send a Marine up there to scout at some point with that medevac timing. So we'll see if he remembers to do that, but...
Cookie's looking to do the same thing again, getting that starport about 7 minutes, 45 seconds. Stim is about halfway done. Probably we'll go ahead and see that, standard push again, where he pushes out with 2 medevacs. Seems to be very fond of that. It's very, very safe and secure push. It's guaranteed to do some kind of damage.
We'll see now. Protoss starting to pull ahead with workers now that this expansion's up. The question is always, though, with a hidden expansion is if that can that expansion stay alive for long enough to benefit the player.
Yeah, does it get a return on that investment?
In the case of Protoss, you really do need like an almost saturated base and lots of gateways. He's going to need to get upwards of 10 to 12 gateways if he wants to choose to go that style. But actually, he's choosing to go more for the Colossus style, which he's super, super dependent on that not getting scouted. Like, if that gets scouted, he has to sacrifice it because the Colo cannot actually go over there to defend it. If he were playing a Templar Zealot style, he may be able to try to hold on to it. It would still be hard, but he's kind of he's forced himself into a position now where he's relying on that not getting scouted for another few minutes.
Yeah, I like to think of Colossi as kind of more of an aggressive build, whereas Zealot Archon much more defensive in a sense. You want to be receiving attacks, taking attacks, and rubber banding back, and either counter pushing after crushing an army with storm and force fields.
But in a way, doesn't that synergize well with a very greedy third base?
Yeah, I would think it would, but I mean, Colossi is also a good choice, so maybe Nemesis is looking to get aggressive quickly.
Colossi, and it would be good if Benny just assumes that he's on 2 base.
Yeah, but Factory will actually float over and see it.
Oh, that would be huge if he sees this, and I think it is probably destined to go and meet up with that. He's probably going to be bringing this Factory up here anyway to try to block the natural third base, but... We'll see this Observer just poking around the middle of the base. He's going to see this push. And the thing is that Protoss is totally relying on force field. So a Doom drop to the main could always do severe damage. Not a ton of units here. Even just lifting up to the natural would do some damage. But
and let's not forget that despite the Protoss army being rather immobile, if Cookies decides to split off and try to snipe that Nexus,
he is going to actually. He's spotted it now, and I think the Nexus and these probes are going to have to. He's just going to have to sack them.
Yeah.
Already stunned his units, a little bit premature maybe, but still a very good move to come up here and take this out. And now I think Nemesis is going to be feeling some pressure. That definitely was not up long enough to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, full Chrono Boost on it too, not even able to expend that. I'm surprised he didn't have a pylon. I think had he maybe had a round of Warpins there and then was able to put his army in position, he could have
bringing Nemesis into the red too.
Yeah, that's... I don't know what his game plan was there with that.
That was prevent him from getting more Colo. He is favoring this very heavy Colossus style. But again, he has to be very careful because it's easy to get hard countered with that double Starport Vikings. If you're going past 2 to 3 Colossus, it's very easy to be just hard countered.
This is very, very true. How many Vikings are actually on the field right now? What are we at?
I believe we don't have any actually. We only have medevacs right now, and adding more barracks rather than another Starport at the moment.
Yeah, 2 Vikings are in production. 1 will complete. Any forges down for Nemesis?
I don't think we have any quite yet. I would not be surprised to see him throw them. Well, actually, no. In this position, he really can't afford it. He's lost his third.
He's pretty much reduced to a big 4 Colossus.
And you have to wonder what would have happened if Nemesis had decided to take his third like here instead. Do you think maybe he may have been able to defend that position?
I think so. I think the hidden third was easily defendable in those positions had he, opted for Forge. I think even a couple cannons there defending against drops and any kind of like would have bought him time to get his
gateways so he could warp in whenever that thing came.
Maybe he just hit at that one exact weak opportunity for Nemesis. That one, that one window of time where he's a little bit vulnerable and Cookies is able to exploit it. Thing is that Nemesis is a pretty good composition here. Not a lot of Vikings on the field. Only 2.
Only 2 Vikings. Now add in the second starport, so it's going to be a while before those Viking counts starts to increase. And a big stim, but a good concave from Terran. Not a ton of force fields quite yet, but it's still going to be a very scary push here from Nemesis. And the Kalo are just not dying fast enough.
Yeah, one Colossus will go down. The Vikings will remain. Nemesis isn't even concerned with it. It's going to be a tight finish here.
He needs to pull back to these bunkers, but I don't know if he's going to hold this third base. The P4 is there, so that's a very good move from Cookies having that planetary fortress. And now more Vikings beginning to come out here. Just needs to stall a little bit longer for that second starport to start cranking those Vikings out.
Yeah, and in this situation, for Nemesis, you don't even bother with the third. You want to just try to go for the kill.
And it's okay if Terran can afford to lose some SCVs here. He just needs to hold on. He needs to stall this push for as long as possible. And that third base is going to be secure, so he's still up a base. He just needs to chill out here. He needs to be very reserved. He's doing a pretty good job, but those Kalo are being microed very well. Yeah,
this 2 Colossi, they have a ton of kills on them as well. Gonna just go ahead and push right into the natural. Last Colossi will go down. 2 more Vikings do come out. But I just don't think it's gonna be enough. Nemesis with a very, very strong 2-base
timing
push
push have to lift this base. I think he might actually lose the orbital here. And more Stalkers coming to reinforce, but just not enough stuff here coming up from Cookies. I think he's a little bit starved for money right now.
Yeah, and what's even more important behind this is Nemesis taking his third Nexus, so Orbital Command will go down. Only 1 orbital remains, as well as that planetary. Colossi doing a lot of work into these.
He needs to be careful, though, because now he's going to be in a spot. He's going to lose all these Stalkers with the concussive shells. He's not going to be able to retreat from this position, but actually getting 3 Stalkers out of there. Did he not have concussive shells quite yet? I'm not sure. But either way, that was not a really good trade, I think, for Protoss at the end, losing all of the Colossus, and actually units lost reflecting that, showing Terran quite a bit ahead. And I don't know, it did actually...
A lot of workers went down. A lot of workers went down, and a base was sniped.
He is aware now of the base there, but I don't think he actually realized... I don't think he could do anything about that, because it is a planetary fortress. The third base, though, is finished here.
Yeah, what's his upgrades? Does he have any forges going yet? That's what kind of has me concerned. If he falls behind on those upgrades...
I don't see any forges, actually. I think he's still 0-0.
Yeah, he's still 0-0. What are we on the Terran?
Terran is 1-1. I think he's going for 2-2. So this upgrade advantage is just going to get bigger and bigger for Cookies.
Yeah, but if 2-2 hits before Nemesis...
This army is not big. He does not want to be out in the map with just 1 Colossus. This is the kind of sub-160 push that you just never want to be doing as Protoss, unless you're absolutely sure you have an advantage. Yeah. But I don't think this is going to be enough. He's going to lose another Kalo. This is just going to be another really good trade for Cookies.
Oh, pretty good force fields, though.
But he could. He manages to sneak through anyway, and getting out with minimal losses. Just keeping that Kalo count low is going to be the best thing for Cookies at this point.
Yeah, but the question is Nemesis has to... Or rather, the question, but the situation right here is Nemesis, if he waits any longer to try and kill his opponent, he's going to fall behind on 2-2 upgrades.
Remember that orbital was lost earlier on, so Cookie's only mining from 2 bases at the moment, but one of those bases is still fully saturated, whereas OpTiKNemesis beginning to get mined out at his main, not quite at his
what are we at the income tab? What is that showing?
Income tab showing still quite more workers here for OpTiKNemesis.
A lot more gas influx for Nemesis as well, and I think that's definitely going to work in his favor.
Now getting the Forge, Double Forge, and Twilight Council, so I think going to be gearing up for the late game, and not in too bad of a spot considering. I think Benny or Cookies is going to have to capitalize on some sort of mid-game timing before those before charge finishes, or at least before Archons and Storm gets in the map.
Yeah, it's so hard to judge when your opponent's upgrades are going to finish as well. Of course he was clicking on his news and see where's that. I mean, Cookies might say, is that 0-0 right now? But how I know not 1-1 is about to complete or hasn't completed?
Cookies probably has a good idea that 1-1 isn't too close to be done, because he managed to kill that third base, and, a Protoss is not going to be...
Yeah, and there's 2-2 finishing up right there for Cookies. There he is. He's going to move out with it, and that's what he needs to do. He needs to push this advantage. you need to stress the small advantages you have, and 2-2 Marines are fantastic.
Once
units.
again, though, Cookie's forgetting the scout for this observer. I'm just not seeing it at all. And it's going to give Nemesis the upper hand when it comes to army positioning.
And that's a really bad place to be.
Force fielded, and it is going to get force fielded. This is such a bad spot for Cookies, and OpTiKNemesis getting some really great force fields down here. Going to trap those units, but will he actually kill all of them? The medevacs are going to heal him, so they may be able to retreat, but I think Cookies doesn't necessarily want to be fighting in this spot. Actually, those Vikings, though, popping out, killing that one collar. This is the problem with pushing out with less than 3 Colossus. And less than 160
upgrades,
food.
2-2 upgrades working out really well for Cookies there.
Yeah.
1-1's still a good way of finishing off.
This is not the first time today we've seen a Protoss player who's in a good spot to turtle up, just lose units needlessly.
Yeah, and we'll push forward into this choke here. A little bit more beneficial for the Terran player, of course.
Yeah, but look, losing, he's keeping the colo count at 0.
And that's also worth
That's going to be so important and he actually may just kill this third base, so I think the damage has been done now. OpTiKNemesis scrambling, trying to figure out what to do, and 1 Colossus on the way. We're at 1-1 upgrades here. It hasn't even started 2-2. The Terran already at 2-2, so this is going to be...
Is there just a DT Shrine attempting to go down?
No, it's not even going to finish, I don't think. Yeah. He can kite all he wants here. He got so many medevacs. These units, I think every modder has its own medevac at this point.
Yeah, another Colossus will make its way onto the field, so that'll help a little bit, but there are no Vikings. A lot of medevacs.
Oh, the probe's going to get picked off too, and all these zealots going to go down. The 1 column in the back doing some damage, but I think that there's at least 1 Viking here. These units could come up and try to snipe the Colossus as well. The upgrade advantage is just really starting to pay off now for Cookies.
Yeah, and 3+3 weapons on the way. Vikings still in production.
And the Dark Shrine is not in the best spot either. Going to have to get canceled.
Nemesis fighting this out, though. I love it when players get to nation. GG, well played out of Nemesis.
I agree, that was definitely well played by Benny. Cookies is doing a phenomenal job that game.
Yep, so we'll be right back with game number 3. Gonna get the map pick from Nemesis, of course.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, we'll be right back.